welcome back to the Stoop football fans. It's your boy Lolo. Sorry I'm running a little bit late. We just had a torrential downpour just starting, and I had to clean up some stuff as well. I'm a little under excuse me, under the weather. On cue, sneezing, perfect. But it is Friday night, and the Premier League is officially over. We have champions. We have second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh place all figured out for Europe. And we have relegation. And unfortunately, for a lot of our Stoop crew members, that included the Mighty Whites of Leeds United. So it's a somber day. Our first show without Leeds United in the Premier League. And I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit about that as the show moves forward. But I'm under the weather, so I'm only having one beer tonight. And it's a light one, but I need to cheers you guys on this, our last show of the season.
Cheers.
Big cheers, John. All right. Well, so here we are. Today on today's show, I was thinking we would go ahead and go through and give our Premier League grades for each and every team, unless we forget about some of them. But we'll hit the high notes and the low notes, and we'll discuss a little bit about that. Thank you, Scooby D, too, for asking. Hay fever, or cold, or flu, I'm not sure. It's probably just being a dad and the kids getting sick, and then Mark got sick and I got sick and everything. It's something going around. Right now it's only in my head, and I can't tell if I'm sweating just because it's super hot today, but that rain's gonna break the weather for tomorrow. That being said, big up to everyone who's in the crowd tonight, including the Fantasy Stoop Crew Fantasy winner, Rob G, right here. What do I win for FPL? Bragging rights, Stoop Crew mug. You, my friend, will win an official On the Stoop with Lolo t-shirt. This one that I'm wearing right here. Not this one, because it's probably going to be a bit sweaty and stinky after this. But Rob right there sitting with 2,396 points. Wow. And I dropped all the way down to 7th place. Not a great season for me. Who do we have? Scott Newby was 2nd place. Robert Stove, Limo, John Lawler, Phil, and then me. Where do we have? Where's Mark on there, John? He doesn't fit on the sheet, so down there somewhere. A lot of people kind of forgot about fantasy football this year, but Rob G, you're going to have to come visit me in Brooklyn, my friend. You're going to have to come down and pick up this shirt, unless you give me your address, and then I guess I'll send it to you. Or maybe we'll come up and visit you and go out on the boat, all your boat life stuff that you do. But well done there, Rob. Maybe now you can pick a team that can finish somewhere near the top as well, because Tottenham suck, as we all know. So Jimmy says Lolo has altitude sickness from Gooners finishing 2nd. Yeah, it is. We're way up there, way up there. Mr. Trousers, Leeds are going to be more comfortable in the championship, more suited to that level. Ooh, fighting words last week and kicking off with some fighting words, but you do kind of have a point. The current incarnation of Leeds United, yeah, current incarnation of Leeds United probably is better suited currently for championship football. But I will stand by my statement that Leeds United are a club that we want in the Premier League, and the Premier League needs a team like Leeds United up in the Premier League. The history, the fan base, everything about it. So, and John Lufgarside, drown the bug with beer. Drown the bug with beer. At least you'll sleep. Yeah, hopefully I'll get some good sleep tonight. That being said, I know a lot of people who are joining us today don't have all that much time, so I'm going to go ahead and bring on the whole crew out here. So let's bring on Mark. Let's bring on Ben Ireland. Let's bring on Tony. And let's bring on Italy Jet. What is going on, my friends?
Hey. Oh, yeah, it's good to be back. I missed last week. I tried to watch the show.
Cheers.
I think I lasted all of 10 minutes.
Cheers, everyone.
And
Cheers.
Lolo, you are in for a ride, because tonight The reason why I'm so zesty is that this is the first night I've been out of bed in like over 2 weeks or nearly 2 weeks. Good luck to you, my friend.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I cannot be that sick because I have gigs all weekend, and then I go traveling for another gig next week, and then I have gigs nonstop for about a month after that. So I don't have time to be sick, that kind of sick, Mark. So
you better take your vitamins.
After the
then.
show,
Take your
I'll
vitamins,
give you
Lolo.
I'll give you my remedy that'll help you get through it all.
All right, well, better be good by tomorrow because tomorrow there is a massive block party on our block, and I am doing a whole bunch of stuff for them. So I finally picked up all of our gear that was at Dram Shop, so I'll be on the microphone out there. If anybody's in Brooklyn, feel free to stop by.
Sounds fun.
All right, Italy Jet, how are you?
Oh, man, I am on a whole nother level right now for some reason. Maybe it's Friday. Maybe West Ham are in the championship. I have no idea. I don't know.
Maybe you're supercharged from the beach.
Yeah, I would say the beach.
Maybe.
The sun.
Maybe. Florida's a different breed. Florida is a different breed.
It definitely is. And thank you guys for all of that other team talk. Now to bring on the real guest to talk about the only team that matters. It's Stan the Man all the way from Vancouver. What's up, Stan the Man? Let's talk Arsenal. Fuck all these guys. I don't care about them.
You look like you're in a helicopter, man.
Yeah. Well, fuck you then, Lolo.
There must be some kind of way out of here.
Hey, Ben, how you doing?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
I'm just kidding. I love you guys. You know I love you guys. And I appreciate every one of you for coming on the show as much or as little they do. Now, whoa, Stan's like really in a helicopter now.
It's a lovely afternoon here in Vancouver, so rather than be cooped up inside, I'm sitting on the balcony, which does make me go like I'm in a witness protection program at certain stages.
I was actually kind of expecting you to be like, "This is not my real name. Please don't call me Stan."
Shit.
I was there in 1978 when the murder happened.
How are we all? It's been a while since I've been around these parts.
Very well.
Absolutely, Stan. Very, very good to see you, Stan. So how's everybody feeling? First weekend of no Premier League action coming up. Of course, we do have the FA Cup final tomorrow between two teams I've never heard of from a town that is probably crap.
Very, very well.
Anisha, if you're watching, don't pay attention to this guy over here.
It's weird not having football on. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it feels empty.
Been relaxing. Very relaxing.
It feels weird.
You have hockey, so what are you crying about?
John, no one gives a fuck. Get out of here.
See, for me, Lida, the worst thing about the season actually being finished is that my missus knows that the season has finished, which means now on Saturdays I have to go to the supermarket, I have to put up shelves, I have to do all of these chores now with no excuses.
You have to be awake.
To go shopping.
I hate going to Costco. I hate it.
Really?
Oh, I can't stand it. If I go shopping on my own, I'm in and out within like 20 minutes. You go with the missus, you're talking like 2.5 hours, mate.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say about like
take me shopping.
About the IKEA test. Like if you're dating a chick, if you want to see if you guys have a future together, you got to go to IKEA together and see if you survive going to IKEA together. Wow. And there's still times where I feel like I'm not going to make it. And I'm like, we are done. We are done. And my daughter goes, you can't leave me here. And I'm like, sorry.
Oh, God. Hey, Tony might actually relate to this question, but this is for you, Lolo. My wife, when I met her, she was so scared to tell me that she did not like red sauce. So imagine bringing that to my mother. I know. Imagine bringing that to my mother. I was killing myself in that. I was like, oh my gosh, my mom's gonna freak out, my Nona's gonna freak out, my wife doesn't like red sauce. What do I do?
We've got
Italy. She just said she's allergic to tomatoes.
Yeah, well, it's not that easy. She's got a simple palate.
And then puts ketchup on shit.
Simple palate of food.
Italy brings this up, and he says, you know, this wasn't a deal breaker. What were things that like relationships you've been in that were like, hey, wait a minute, I don't know about this.
Well, I mean,
Back
I
in
think
the
any
day,
deal
Mark-
breaker is burning your clothes, right? That's a
Ooh.
big deal breaker for anybody, right?
Oh,
Yes,
I
I'm just
started
putting
dating
it
a
out
chick
there.
until
I'm just
I
putting it
I
out
started
there.
dating a chick
While they
until
were
she
still
told me
on
she
you?
was-
No, you idiot. You would go there though. God,
One more
John just likes
insult.
to pop out.
One more insult. You know, that's 3 strikes, buddy.
Okay. Oh, I'm so scared.
Yeah, back when I was more NFL than Premier League, started seeing a girl and then found out she was a hardcore Atlanta Falcons fan.
Ooh.
What
Nah,
does that mean? Is
nah,
that a bad deal?
pass.
you got to
Yeah.
They're rivals. They're rivals.
I'm a Saints fan. I'm a New Orleans Saints fan.
Oh,
So, and
okay.
back then I
It's
was
like an
hardcore.
Arsenal fan dating a Spurs fan.
Okay.
Oh, that's just awful.
Yeah, couldn't. Do
I
that.
started checking this bird once. This was a long time ago, and she had the most incredible rack that I'd ever seen. When I finally got round to our house and I went into the bedroom, she did have a Tottenham cushion sitting on a chair. But you know what? I still went there. I thought I was doing one for the team. Take one for the team. You know what I mean? You never saw the rack, so you know what I mean?
Here, put this under there, you know.
Well, from what I hear, the Tottenham trophy rack is very easy to spot because you can see the shelves very clear. Yeah, it's very visible.
A lot of dust.
There's nothing blocking your view of the Tottenham rack. So, guys, thinking of Rob Greenleaf here, our FPL champion. He's a Spurs fan, and he said, "I am glad the season is over." Yeah, glad the season's over. Which club do you guys feel is probably the most happy that this season is just done? Like we're fucking
Chelsea.
done.
Chelsea, man, for sure.
Yeah, is everybody in agreement?
They were just like when Frank was brought in, it was just like, okay, let's just ride this out and not drop down too far. I mean, like every time they showed Frank Lampard's face, he just looked like, yeah, just I don't want to be here. And I don't know if y'all have noticed, not like a lot of you watch Chelsea a whole lot, but like Frank Lampard was losing his hair, but wow, this season it's
Needs to go to Turkey.
it is thinned. It used to be thinning, but now it is thinned.
Wow.
Yeah, Everton and Chelsea will do that to him, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I bet you he was like, man, I should have stayed with Everton. There would have been some glory in keeping them up on the last day. Mr. Tom Hulkamania, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Hang on, Mr. Tom, you know something? I almost wore exactly the same T-shirt. I was seconds away from wearing the same T-shirt. That is so weird.
But you went for the
He's gonna
Predator
rip it,
vest
though, so-
That
instead.
is so weird, but it was so warm.
That'd
I
be
wanted
awesome if he did that.
I was like a second away. I got it hanging. I ironed it and everything.
Let's see it, Tom. Can you do it? Can you
No,
rip it open?
because that's
rip it open, Tom?
vintage
No,
Hulkamania.
no, what I paid for this, I fucking ain't. I mean,
Yeah, that's
like, I mean,
vintage Hulkamania, man. That's a real deal T-shirt.
I have another team, and it might be surprising. I would say West Ham are thankful the season is over, because I feel like they barely hung on to not go down, and because with Europe, I don't know, just Chelsea.
What do you
and
say,
I would
Italy?
say West Ham.
I mean, I give us a D in the league, but if we win it all, that's an A, right? Wouldn't you say that?
No, I know,
Yeah.
but just the end of the year, it was like you guys were lucky. Just
Oh yeah. No, I agree with you on
that's
that.
all.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I give it a D,
No.
and then if we win the championship in the conference league, then it's an A.
yeah, because
It
It
is
is not an
Europe.
A.
Just
It is
Europe.
not an A.
For
It is
Europe,
not an A.
for winning a
It is not
championship,
an A.
If they win Europe, absolutely, it's
it's
not
an
an
A
A,
for sure.
not an A.
absolutely.
No.
I'd say
Oh,
like
wow.
a C plus.
Okay, so
Premier
Man
League
City
was
wins
not
the
a
FA Cup.
priority for West Ham this season. What was a priority was Europe. Now,
Lolo.
toward the end of the season, West Ham did just enough to stay up, but still kept an eye
Mark.
on the
Okay.
prize.
Okay, Mark. So Arsenal gets an A for the season then?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No,
I
they
think
do
you might
not.
have- I think
No,
you were
they do
above
not.
expectations.
I know, but we still don't get an A. An A is
Why?
like fucking
Why would you not
job
give
well
an
done.
A to Arsenal? We're not talking A plus, but I do think that
I'm still
Arsenal
talking A.
deserves an A.
I think we got a
agree.
solid B plus. Solid B plus. We tailed off. Mark, you've been ragging on us for weeks about how we fucking bottled it. Then let's
Well, that's
be
only
fucking
because
honest.
you're all like top of the league. How's it all look down there?
All right.
You
If
know,
if
so
I'm
you
doing
got a
all my
little, you got a little shade.
if I'm doing all my classwork, I'm doing very, very well, very, very well. And then like the last month of class, I fail one test and then I write half of my final essay that's worth 20% of your grade and I turn that in. I'm not getting an A. Doesn't matter how well I did in the first part of the season. Stan, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. You are correct, sir. I would say it's an A. We could maybe say then that Man City's got the A plus.
Yeah, I still don't give us
All
an
right,
A.
so I'll give Arsenal an A minus because honestly, if we really want to look at things, y'all lost the league. Like when it comes right down to it, y'all lost the league because of injury.
Well,
you know,
but if you lose the league because of injury, that's because of mismanagement. Because it's not like 12 people got injured. That was like three injuries.
It's just your depth was wrongly placed.
There you go.
And your
Mismanagement.
depth got hurt. But honestly, like, come on. Let's all be honest here. If Saliba doesn't get hurt, does Arsenal win the league? I think so.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
No.
Not-
I don't see that. No.
That's
No.
a caveat. That's a caveat or a caveat.
For me, we were leaking goals
Not
before Saliba's.
necessarily.
We were leaking
which says
goals
there's a
before
part of you
Saliba.
that agrees with that statement.
We were leaking goals before Saliba, but when Saliba went out, it just got worse. There was a problem before that.
Yeah.
I feel
It was a problem that you could no longer hide. You were giving up goals with Saliba, but
Yeah.
you were scoring just as many. Unfortunately, when Saliba got hurt, you were giving those many goals up as well. You know, that many goals up as well.
I think
that makes sense.
I think the goals that we let in went up by 50% when Saliba went out.
There
So
you have it.
there's no way back from that. But I would have to say about giving us a grade. I mean, our target at the beginning of the season was to finish in the top 4. Had we finished in the top 4, I would have given Arsenal an A for achieving their targets. We surpassed that. Okay, we blew up at the end, but we still surpassed it. I think it's a solid.
Okay,
A.
so I'm being a little bit harsher on that. I just don't think anybody at West Ham, even if you win this, can look back at your season and say, "Let's do that again."
Right.
We did exactly what we needed to do.
Can I ask a question? What if West Ham wins it all? What does that give them?
The
They
Europa
get into
League
like
group stage?
Europa League.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a next tier.
Yeah, they get into the Europa League.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
fair
why.
enough.
That's why if they would have
why-
won the Europa League, they would have been in the Champions League this past season.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's why it would have been so
Right.
big if they would have won.
Right.
So Italy, if you guys lose this final,
It's a
what
B.
is your grade?
B? Hold on. I'm talking
Fucking B?
league and okay, you're not understanding. For the league, it's a D. But if you win the conference league just for conference league only, it's an A or B for that specific thing.
I'll give you a B if you fucking win it, but I'm no A. Get out of here.
You go to the next level. You go to the next level. You go to Europa League. Yes, he's right. If we won the Europa League, we could have gone to the Champions League. That's correct. But go on.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You got to look at it all as, and I think this is all stemming from a frustration of if fucking Manchester United somehow find a way to beat City tomorrow, we're not going to hear the fucking end of it.
No, we
They
are.
Of
went
how
2-0
Arsenal's
into the third.
fantastic season means nothing because Manchester United had a poor season but finished 4th and have 2 trophies. And
third.
we can't really argue with that.
Right. They've won at least something, so I'd take 2 trophies and third.
And 4th is better than second,
Piss
or
off.
3rd is better than second, right? It really is. I don't know. Chris, very good to see you as well, man.
Liverpool's season is a D.
A big old D.
Big old D. No, it's
Bag
a
of
little,
Ds.
it's a little D this year.
All
I
right,
think
what do we think about
Liverpool's better
Liverpool,
than
guys?
that. I mean, they were completely written off in February.
Yeah. It's still got a base. I mean, not finishing top 4 is a D at best.
Yes, we all saw Salah's reaction, which was great.
It was perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So Mark and I were saying backstage.
Saul, very good to see you, Saul, out in Australia, who's already talking in Saturday terms, saying today is the biggest day in Man City's entire 15-year history. Interesting. All right, guys. So who do we want to go to next? Or are we still on Liverpool? We can
Still on
still
Liverpool, I think.
Nah, fuck those guys. We're done with them.
D minus.
B minus?
D minus.
D minus.
Yes, I think it's been a poor season overall. Late
Got
push,
spanked by Real
late push,
Madrid.
but it
Didn't
was
make it
just
to any
papering over cracks.
Yeah.
And to answer Scooby D2, F is the lowest. A, B, C, D, F. C is still passing. D is still passing, right? I think.
Do we still get a U for ungraded or unattended?
Yeah, or maybe an I for incomplete.
Incomplete. Yeah. Incomplete. Well, we'll
I wish
get there.
I wish
in
I
a
knew
minute.
what Najee's grade for Chelsea was.
Oh,
And
he's
F-
probably like,
F.
it was a solid B, probably.
Just a quick
I
question
don't
for
think any
everyone.
Chelsea fan can say that.
Who was your referee of the season?
Bar.
Jesus fucking Christ.
On Anthony Taylor after the Europa League final, that's for sure.
Facts.
Well, now, that's a bit harsh, no, Tony? I know there's complaints about having to redo the penalties.
No, I'm
Oh,
just talking about the
yeah,
handball. Just the handball that should have been called in the box. That's all.
The handball, I don't know. That's one where, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's all.
But that's not him. That's an entire staff.
Yeah.
Calling it. So
And
I couldn't believe they were like, "Oh, we have a
Too.
we have a European final. Let's go get a British ref. They're so good week in and week out."
Yeah, I think Mark Oliver was the 4th official.
He's terrible.
Yeah.
How terrible.
Roma deserved to lose just based on how they lined up, especially in that extra time with 4 center backs.
Yeah.
That was just
No, I know.
They had zero interest in doing anything in that extra time.
I was kind of hoping Roma won just to be able to laugh at Tottenham even more of like that's why you don't fire Mourinho right before your first fucking final in forever, you idiots. But yeah, then I felt like he mismanaged the second half of the game. Like he thought he was going to win 1-0. Not against Sevilla, not in the Sevilla Cup. Like, sorry. It's like Unai Emery showed up and he was just there in the background, like telling him what to do.
I tell you, as far as I'm concerned, like Jose is like the like Kanye of football. He's like a genius, but he's just like unhinged as fuck.
Whoa.
Just
It's a
out
pretty
there.
good.
Whoa.
Like seriously
Wow.
though, think about it. Like everything that like Jose has said in the press, you're just like, what? They both think they're God, you know. Like Jose is like, I am the chosen one, maybe, and like you know, and Kanye's like, I'm the second coming of God, you know.
You got Yeezy and Josie.
It's just like if you listen to like all the things they've said, you can make mirror comparisons.
His time at Spurs was his Donda album, I think.
Or a second stint with Chelsea.
I could tell you what happened, but I'm not going to because you could figure out without me telling you. But I'm going to tell you anyway. I just remember that presser by Jose. It was just like, what? Wait a minute, what are you saying?
I got a random grade. Bring it back to the Premier League. I'd give Forest a C+ for staying up after they signed felt like 50 people.
Yeah.
Fuck Forest.
On that.
I mean, I said it in the crapper that they had a chance to make a move and they did.
Yeah, I don't know how
that striker is Chris, help me out with the name. It's like
Taiwo.
It's like
Ayoa
or something.
He
like
played
that.
for Arsenal, didn't? Oh no, he played for Liverpool,
He's
didn't
on
he?
Liverpool, but he could
Liverpool.
never get him a work.
That
He could never
dude's
get a
a
work
tank.
permit. And I don't know how he ended up getting a UK work permit, because that was the only reason we sold him to Union Berlin, is because I think we loaned him out like 6 times because we couldn't get him a work permit.
He's big too, man. He's a beast.
But the crazy thing is he's under 6 foot.
He is.
He
looks
super
massive.
wide.
Yeah.
He does look like massive. He does look
Lingard.
massive. I was surprised. To find out he's like 5'10".
He's jacked and he's fast. He's
just like this.
I don't know.
I give Southampton an A for finishing below Leeds. That was an achievement.
For Southampton.
That was a difficult task. That was very difficult task. All right, guys. So let's get to Leeds United. Ben, Tom, thank you guys for joining us on the show. What do you guys think about? I mean, it's easy to just straight up say F, failure, but you do have these other ones like I for incomplete, U for I don't know what
unimpressed,
unbelievable
shit.
S%.
Yeah.
For room for improvement.
Yeah, Tom, you can take this one.
That's like the nicest grade ever. Room for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I could do what people expect to see and go F for go fuck yourselves and fuck yourselves and everything like that. But the reality is, what happened has happened, and we just got to wait till August and see what happens. No. There's no plus in this situation. I mean, what can be said that isn't already said?
I've moved on from it
great,
now.
Is it?
We had a bit of shitty news, didn't we, with the stadium? But he tried snaking behind our backs. So fuck him. And I'll apologise to Connor. I was wrong. So there you go.
I do have a question. Who stays and who goes, players-wise, for Leeds now?
Who would like to stay will probably go. And who we don't want to stay, who would like to go will probably stay.
I feel like it depends on who they bring in.
Yeah, exactly. Like who do you player individual-wise? Who would you say go?
But you keep who you can, don't you? That you can keep hold of. I can't see anybody coming in for Aronson at that price. So
yeah,
he got the worst player.
Is it 25 million? 25 million?
Yeah.
Clause.
I mean,
the only player
he could be very handy, I think, in the championship.
I think he'll get bullied.
Yeah, he is a bit undersized now, isn't he?
He needs to see a gym over the summer.
Exactly.
He needs to visit a gym.
He's got the worst player in the Premier League. Official.
The only player that I'm absolutely certain will not have a transfer or relegation release clause triggered is Junior Firpo. Because who's going to want to take him? Oh, it's amazing news for us. Because it's going to turn out that he's the greatest player to ever play in the championship, probably. But we'll find out.
I'd like to welcome Daniel and Tyler.
Hang on a minute, Tom. I'm just getting the plot here. All of those times when you and I have been speaking and you've been dropping how great Junior Firpo is, you was being sarcastic, right?
Yeah.
I only just realised.
Oh yeah, he's been super sarcastic.
I thought you really liked that guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
We love the guy.
He's fantastic.
I can see what he's saying.
Let's be fair.
I see what he's saying.
There's no statistic that actually proves what I know to actually be true. So
Okay.
Well, no, tell a lie. I believe he scored the same amount of goals as Richarlison. So every cloud has a silver lining, doesn't it? So
yeah,
and more than Mudryk, and more than no, I think how many goals did Richarlison only had one, right?
Yeah,
One.
Yeah.
Uno.
Yeah, Jakob Kivior has as many goals as Richarlison.
the truth
And
of
we
the
signed him
matter
in
is,
January,
though,
and he's a defender.
we can all sit here, we can all speculate on Leeds, but the truth of the matter is, we don't know who the manager is. We don't know who's actually in charge of the club. We don't actually know who's running things on a day-to-day basis. Because what we do know is the chairman's off buying another club.
Yeah,
and
what we
I
do
can't
know is,
expect Angus Kinnear to be doing all the transfers and all that. We've got no director of football.
and I can't expect that the 49ers are happy with him trying to sell Ellen Road behind their back.
I've been kind of mulling this around for a few weeks now, but it seems to me that, like, with everything that's happening with Leeds in like the last month or so, it seemed to me that it was like Rad's way of kind of sabotaging the 49er deal, because ultimately I don't think he wants to be less than majority owner of Leeds.
The guy's ego is massive.
You know, and he is making the club as unattractive as possible for 49ers to come in and go, yeah, we want to take control of this team. I mean, you're no longer in the Premier League.
Niners,
you are
more
no longer that high. You'll at least will always be that high profile club, but as far as 23, 24, you're not a high profile club. You know, the Americans that are playing for the team and were coaching the team are no longer there. So there's no longer going to be that interest in the States, because this is like a concentrated club, or a club with concentrated Americans in it for America to pay attention to. It just reeks of sabotage.
Could be right. We don't know. The guy's.
I don't think the Niners necessarily walk away. Like, now I think they can buy for cheap.
I hope they do. Just get rid of him now.
The fact of the matter is, the facts are, he tried to stay up by spending the least amount of money possible. Because all the stuff we were promised when we did get promoted was going to be, oh, you want Ellen Road upgraded? Got to be in the Premier League to be upgraded. We spent three seasons there, not so much as a new
charging us rent.
Place.
Charging us rent when we on our own ground.
Just whatever happens, isn't it? We just got to sit here and
it's out of
all
our
we
hands.
can do is sit and comment on it. But
sit and pray. But it's so typically Leeds United. This is what happens with our club. This is the madness, and you can look at us, and we are all nuts because we're there season in, season out. But we deserve something better as a collective.
I don't think he's going to be owning it for long. I do think a big money to invest, because now it's just like it's a deal, because he can't sell it for what he could have.
Look, I think he needs money personally.
He needs money.
Well, they'll have the parachute payments, and then now,
but that's it. We don't know what he's going to do with them payments. Whether he's going to pocket them and run, or what's he going to do with player sales money? Let's say we get. Say Tyler Adams, we get 30, 35 million. Let's say, what's he going to do with that? Is he going to put it back in the club, or is he taking it to Sampdoria?
Right.
Well, who's your money on for the next manager? I saw like Steven Gerrard has the 3-1 odds or something.
I think that's just bookies. We've not heard anything concrete with that. But no, not Steven Gerrard for me. I'd rather have Corber
in the chat. No, fine. But in the chat, things are like, "Oh, we'd riot if we had Steven Gerrard." Won't stand for that. We said the same things about Sam Allardyce 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then, but we fucking had to take our medicine.
I think it'd be a massively unpopular choice. Whereas they knew that the Allardyce was, it wasn't going to get met with anything really, was it? It was the last row of the dice.
Of course not. Obviously, it should have happened earlier.
This is all right. Let's. You want Gerrard as your push to the league?
The best we can hope for, in my opinion, is that no Premier League club makes Brendan Rodgers an offer and he gets bored at home. The best we can hope for, realistically, is that he just wants a job.
Yeah.
Or Potter.
Yeah.
So I've been saying that for weeks. I think
Potter
Potter
fan.
would do very, very well with Leeds.
I'm not a Potter fan.
Yeah,
I want somebody who's proven to get you out of this league.
Premier League.
Yeah, he's not going to go from I got sacked by Chelsea to I'm going to the Championship. There's going to be a level above that he'll drop to. Yeah,
I agree.
But I think it might be that I will bring Leeds back.
So I have a question for the two Leeds guys, right? Who would be your picks if you were able to make?
You know what I'd like, and I know it's never going to happen, but I think he'd get us out of that league. Thomas Frank, I think he would.
Really?
Yeah, I want somebody who's proven to get out of that league. Somebody who knows what it takes to get out of that league, because that's what it takes.
Yeah, didn't you?
I'd be interested to see how he did outside of Brentford, because I think a lot of his magic is within the Brentford system.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
What about the guy who took Huddersfield up like 4 or 5 years ago, coached in Germany afterwards?
Oh, Wagner, David. No,
yeah.
No, we don't like him. We don't like him as Leeds fans. He's a cock.
Well, I hear Daniel Fark is.
We've hired a lot of people you don't like, though.
Yeah, apparently there's like a lot of people.
That's true. Basically,
there's a long list.
There's two camps. You've either worked for Leeds and done semi well, or we don't like you. And that's
Mark there, right? I had two feelings when you just said that there. Daniel Fark, my initial feeling was no, but then I thought he's proven.
Yeah. He got Norwich up, didn't he?
He did twice.
And the team was behind him. Organizations that don't spend.
Yeah. Who's that manager that's managing? I think it's in France, and he doesn't have the license, and they keep just paying 25 grand.
Oh yeah.
Who's that?
Is it Will Still?
Will Still.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like the football manager. Yeah, I was about to say. The best part of it is he went on like this 20-game unbeaten run, and then the second he said in an interview that he doesn't like a football manager, he lost. And all the football manager players rejoiced. It was like, oh, you fucking shitting on our game, are you, mate? Because it was all like, oh, you played football manager once, and he was like, well, yeah, I used to play it. But it weren't like I sent in my CV based on playing football manager, and we were all sitting there going, no, you shouldn't have said that. You should.
Yeah, he probably played it back in the day when Kim Kallstrom was a thing. First football championship manager. He was the man.
Well, I would say for you guys, there is a coach who just lost a job. I don't know, lost a job, but finished a job, completed a job, and I'm afraid you guys aren't going to be able to grab him if Todd Bowley hears that he's now available. Because he's not shooting anymore. Ted Lasso is now available because they are done.
Lolo.
They ended that. I'm just saying, if we told Todd Bowley that Ted Lasso was available, he'd go out and fucking hire it.
We've already had his brother, so no, we're all right. Thanks.
Todd Bowley would probably try and pinch Nate. You know, the guy that went to West Ham. He'd probably go after him, the genius kid,
or Roy Kent. You can even do Roy Kent if you want.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Right.
How angry do you think Todd Bowley is at James Corden, his main advisor for Frank?
Wait, what?
Like, do you think he hired Frank because? You didn't know? He hired Frank Lampard purely because James Corden went, that'd get over well with the Chelsea fans. Yeah, James Corden suggested it. That's why it happened.
Oh my god,
so funny.
I always knew he was.
He also the one who suggested that Cats would be good as a live action.
Cats.
Cats stick that guy.
Damn.
God, he's so arrogant.
I fucking hate that dude. Just to put it out there.
He's a cock.
I absolutely hate him. He is by no means funny.
That's why we
And
sent him over
if-
to you. Because
Wait.
I would go
Now
to
he's
prison.
coming back, though.
You know
He's
what?
coming
Knowing
back
that
to
I would
England.
kill
though.
that fucker.
we don't like
This may
him.
surprise you, Mark, but you're not in a minority.
He's all right.
I
in
know
England.
I'm not.
He
He's
amused
so
me.
hated
I
in
felt
England that he
dirty.
had to come over here to have a
What was that,
career.
Tom?
But he's
Yeah, but in
going back.
fairness, we
He
took Ruby
amused
Wax.
me. In the movie Ocean's 8, he's in it for about 5 minutes, and he's quite funny in it. But
Yeah,
it
because
made
he
me
plays
feel
a dick.
dirty because
He plays a
he
plays a
Yeah,
dick.
he plays
Yeah.
a dick, yeah.
He is
Yeah.
a fucking
Yeah.
plum.
On
Yeah,
on the
but
Chelsea
It was
subject,
good.
Do you know why we actually sent James Corden to you guys in America? It was punishment for what you did to us in the 80s when you sent us Ruby Wax. We never forgot.
who?
Ruby Wax.
She used to do documentaries on the BBC.
We have
Just-
no idea who that is.
Exactly.
Why are you
She got-
punishing us
She got
for
sent to us.
something that we don't even know about?
She's an
It's
American.
like
showing
half
my
the
age.
Kardashians.
Well,
documentaries.
Yeah, that's worse enough.
Well, you've given us some shit,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Kelly
The thing
Rowland.
that weirds me out probably the most
Vice
about
versa.
James Corden is when he mentions his wife, and I'm like, stop playing. You're not married to a woman. Like, stop
I only
messing.
know he's
Hey,
married.
take it
because
easy.
of the
It's
story.
June now. It's Pride.
It's a moth with lips.
Yeah,
Month
be
or
prideful.
whatever
Stop
the fuck
talking
it
about your
is.
wife. Like your made up wife. Like, stop it. Like,
Oh.
come on.
I mean,
know
seriously,
the
like
wife
his
because of the time
his like
he's-
karaoke is just a ripoff of Seinfeld with his like coffee and cars and whatever the fuck comedians
Getting
who are
in the
making
cars,
other
getting
comedians
coffee.
funny.
Comedians in cars getting
know.
coffee. The Netflix show.
Yeah,
just
I
making
mean
fun
that's
of it.
it's just a
I'm fine
direct
with
fucking
carpool
ripoff.
karaoke. It's not a direct ripoff. Seinfeld doesn't fucking sing any songs.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, car.
It's a comedy show that takes
So
place
it's
in a
Seinfeld the
car.
musical then.
It's not. It's a bit.
Not even close.
It's a comedy bit
I
of
won't put him
singing
They're
in the
both
car. You sing in the
bits.
I
car.
won't put him in
It's
any
just
league.
in the
one
car.
happens to be 10 minutes and the other one happens to be a half hour.
Now,
Stop
if
defending
he did
James Corden,
singing in the
Lolo.
shower with James Corden, then maybe
James Corden
Wow.
singing in the shower with Jerry Seinfeld.
I
Hey,
come
can I
to
reach-
you.
can I
in
reach
your
that
Never
for
paid
ya?
for that. Never
I
paid for
pop
that.
into
guys.
your bathroom and
Do you
I
get a
sing
prize
with
if you
you.
can fit in the shower with
What are
him?
you doing in my shower?
The fuck out of here.
Well, in any news,
Oh my God, what is that?
That's
I
Ruby
think
Wax.
that-
Ruby
It's,
Wax.
Ruby Wax.
She
I was
usually has
yes.
red hair though.
I was gonna say.
I'm
speaking
just
of
a
Chelsea,
sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. That's what it looked like. Rocky Horror Picture Show right
You
there.
talking about Joan Rivers, Scooby?
Oh,
Joan Rivers.
leave Joan Rivers alone, man. She was a freak, but she was our freak, and she was funny.
Ruby
yeah,
Wax
she
is
was a
like
bad
a
bitch.
downgraded version of
Celebrity
No,
that.
I mean, we would not have half the female comics
There you
today
go.
without Joan Rivers.
yeah, agreed.
With there's no joke, man. No joke.
Her comedy is great. Her stand up was amazing.
Her
She's
daughter's a massive
crazy, but
weapon on
she's
Celebrity Apprentice, though.
The whole second half of her career just with her daughter was kind of annoying.
All she
Yeah,
did
that
was
reality
just
show. You
rag
talking about
on
that reality
herself.
show?
She's like, "Can I
Yeah.
make my nose smaller?" I don't know.
I remember they did a reality show. I don't remember anything after that though.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, now that we've graded some British and American non-comedy comedians,
Yeah.
let's get back to it. And Tony, I want to talk about Newcastle United because at one point in the season you were title contenders. At one point in the season you weren't going to finish in the top 6. At one point in the season you were going to finish second. Happy with that 4th place finish? You got to be, right?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
So what are you grading your team as?
I would say an A because I was expecting to finish like 8th, so I was happy to finish in like the top 8, to be honest. So to finish 4th, to challenge for 2nd at one point, and then in and out of 3rd and 4th. I would give it an A just because of the summer that they had and the players that he had to work with. I would give it an A. I don't know if everybody else will, but I think he went above and beyond expectations. So, and he's even said it in interviews, like they didn't expect to be there and stuff. So I would give it an A.
A minus. I mean, no one. I don't think many people expected Newcastle to be in the top 4, let alone top 6, top 7, whatever. I mean, it's Eddie Howe has got it going on, and I'm buying into it, and therefore I'm giving him a good grade. Absolute A. Absolute.
Remind me, Tony, how did your cup runs go? I'm not baiting you. I just absolutely don't.
No, you're okay. So lost to Sheffield Wednesday in the FA Cup away, and then obviously lost to Man United in the League Cup final. So
you got to the League Cup final. That's right.
Yeah. Because when Nick Pope went out against Liverpool, then he was out again in the final against Man United. I think that like just killed a lot of their psyche for the final. So they just played flat. So, and then losing to Wednesday, he kind of put out like a weaker side. So I didn't expect them to do much in the FA Cup, but to get to a final since I think like the early 2000s, like or the 90s, that was pretty big for them. So being at the semifinal against Southampton and then seeing Dan Burns score in St. James Park was I couldn't believe like being there and singing "Que Sera Sera" in that crowd. So it was a fun cup run for sure.
How many new starters do you think you signed this summer?
I think they need at least like 3. They need a proper left back. They need someone in the midfield, and then they need someone like a scoring like winger, because Miggy's 29, and they don't know if Wilson or Isak are going to start. So you need someone that's going to be consistently playing and contributing. So especially on 4 fronts next year.
And how annoying was that to watch towards the end of the season when you guys were putting up so many goals? How annoying is it to like see, okay, they're bringing out Callum Wilson. Okay, thank goodness. And they're bringing in Isak. Oh, what the fuck? Or they start Isak and they're bringing him out. Okay, good. And now they're putting in Callum. Like, fuck, what?
Yeah.
What a great, like, I know they're probably both too good to be backups, or in my opinion, Callum Wilson might be the backup to Isak eventually.
Yeah, but you need that.
You need that. Just shows like, when Gabriel Jesus got injured, not that he was a prolific striker, but he was our front man and did a lot of work. The drop to Eddie Nketiah was it's a completely different player, completely different. Yeah. So seeing you guys with that was stupid.
It was refreshing. Yeah, because for the past couple of seasons, it's been Saint-Maximin. Just give him the ball or give Wilson the ball and just hope that they do something. And now to have like a whole team that if one guy, if Bruno Guimaraes wasn't playing, then you were kind of like, Yeah. So that's why I really hope this summer that they sign someone in that midfield, or at least someone to complement him. Just because it just shows how important when he's not playing.
What about Tielemans?
Yeah, I would love Yuri Tielemans.
Can that guy just go away?
Just would you take him or would you take Declan Rice?
I mean, I would love Declan Rice, but
I don't think you're going to drop 100.
It's not like you can't afford him.
I do believe that like there will be a bidding war for him between Newcastle and Arsenal.
If you listen to their fans.
But Mark, that's like a question of like, oh, you're hungry, you want rice, or you want a bag of fucking rocks? Like,
yeah,
not
Tielemans
necessarily.
Versus Declan Rice.
Not necessarily. Maybe what Tielemans offers is something better if he fits the system.
I feel like if, and I know I don't remember the other Leeds guy that was in with us last week, but I think if over the last couple of years, if they had the financial, like the advertising and the money over the last 15 years, then they would probably be better financially capable to do that. But because they're having to catch up with all of you guys,
I would throw a sneaky offer for Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, I would take Calvin Phillips too, because I think like
Yeah.
a summer under Eddie Howe, and Gordon came out and said it, like when he was at Everton, then going to Newcastle, his fitness wasn't there. So I think someone with a full like summer with that squad, I would love Phillips because the way he can distribute the ball, and then you move Bruno up to the right side. I mean, I would take Phillips.
I honestly think West Ham gets James Madison.
Really?
Yeah, I think
I
you
saw
guys
James
will get
Ward-Prowse might
Madison.
go there.
What, they use the Declan Rice money?
No.
No.
I think it'd be much. I think he'll be a little more affordable than that, but I think James Madison goes to Newcastle. I think that's who they have their eye on. It's kind of like who can we get that's not going to cost us a lot of money, but we're going to get the most out of.
No,
Yeah,
then
they're linked with
Brighton, is it?
Szoboszlai from
no, Gross, Pascal Gross. Do you not anything he's worth taking a punt on? Good goal scorer.
Yeah, but he's another player. Like, he doesn't have a position. Like, what position does Pascal Gross play? Every position. That's the problem.
I think now that Newcastle have qualified for the Champions League, though, you're kind of shopping in Harrods now for your players, right? You've got something that you can definitely offer, top players as the attraction. You can afford to pay their wages. You've got a great stadium. You've got an excellent fan base. Newcastle's a great place to go out in the evenings and as a place to live. I think you've got everything sort of there to offer and to attract, top tier players now. You've got the money for it. And I just think that, I'm really attached to Newcastle. It broke my dad's heart when I decided not just to support Newcastle because it is the family team. So I've always sort of like kept an eye on them. And the fact that you managed to get rid of Mike Ashley, who was shackling you guys for so long, I think it's only good things now for Newcastle, and I'm quite excited to see it.
So, guys, I wanted to ask you guys something about so not just the direct grade that you want to give your team based on performance, based on where they finish, based on trophies or lack thereof, but something that I find so key for teams like Newcastle and teams like Arsenal is how well they did as an organization and a community. Like, I feel that a lot of Newcastle fans were concerned with being overtaken by the Saudi government or whoever it actually is. And the division between the Arteta in, Arteta out, Kroenke out, all this. So these two clubs, I feel, get an A+ or perfect score this season of finding that the soul of the club.
I give them a B. I give them a B.
Nah, be at best. Why are we kissing their arse all of a sudden?
No, because
because I'm biased.
Talking like
I'm very biased.
Players for a $5, like if it came out of their youth system. This is nonsense. This is absolute nonsense.
Tom, the fan base is behind them as much as they, if not more than ever.
Because they've got money.
Huge, massive, crazy fan
course
base.
They're gonna be
but no,
they're about to win a lot of shit.
They're singing the praises of Miggy Almiron, of Joe Linton.
Players purchased before, like Fabian Schär, and Almiron, and Joe Linton, and
Dan Burn.
Dan Burn. So let me put this into context with Nottingham Forest, who they go out and sign 28 players. Like, where's the soul of that club?
Chelsea saw that and they were like, hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Like, where is the soul? What happened to the fan base? So if we look at it, like, what did your club do for your fan base this season? Like, how together are you as a club, fan base, community, organization? I feel like Arsenal went from a broken system to that was one of Mikel Arteta's biggest focuses, was getting the crowds back, getting the fans back, getting all on the same page. And for that, I give him an A+. I may be completely wrong about Newcastle, but I think they could have easily gone out, sacked pretty much the whole team, bought brand new players, brought in Ronaldo, brought in all this shit, brought in Mourinho as a coach. Instead, they've been doing things smart and
They were
slow
super sensible.
and super sensible. And the fans are like, okay.
They're
So,
copying
maybe
what
I'm wrong.
they're
You guys
copying the
know.
city. They're copying the city book. Like City
Isn't
bought.
the problem the fact that they can do what you just said? The fact they're in a position where they can do it. Whether they chose not to do it's irrelevant. The fact they can do it is a problem for everyone else.
They still have to comply with finance. They still have to make enough.
They've got that over 3 years. They haven't done it yet.
I think they'll be just fine. But I mean, it's not like Newcastle was floundering or at the bottom of the league forever. I mean, wasn't it like three or 4 years ago they qualified for Europe?
10.
Or no?
10 years.
They came
ago.
close. I mean,
No.
you know.
Didn't they?
No?
Like,
Am I thinking of someone else?
They would be in the championship. They would be in the championship if they didn't have that takeover.
If it wasn't for Eddie Howe, absolutely.
I don't understand why there's a problem with the takeover. I mean, let's say that consortium came to Leeds, Mr. Tom, and said we're going to buy Leeds, and it was happening at Leeds. Would you be like, oh, this is terrible? This is not fair. Of course you wouldn't. You'd be very happy. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
I would be happy that my club is likely to exist until the end of time, of course. But there would still be that part of me that's like, there's this part of me that would be sitting there knowing, what's the best way of explaining it? Feeling like you've not really won anything because of what the money is.
But that's what the league is.
I think eventually it will all even out because all the clubs will be owned by the Saudis.
Mark's Chinese owned.
They will all have tons of fucking money to play with. I mean, it's just the talent drain of the Premier League will create around the other leagues in 5 years' time. I mean, it's going to be AAA, AA, single A, and the majors, and the majors is going to be the Premier League.
And even though the owners, have the money, they've been very prudent, right, with what they've been spending. They haven't just gone out and done a Chelsea. They've been very prudent, right? They brought in some good players. They're building a team. They're not just going, we'll have him.
They're not outbidding Arsenal because they want the Ukrainian guy and basically gave.
Oh my God! Everybody outbids Arsenal.
No, they got Guimaraes when we were looking at Guimaraes as well, and he decided to go to Newcastle.
That's right.
We were in
So
19th.
what's the Kieran Trippier?
We were making jokes about, he's
won the league
or Brazilian, and he's going to go to Newcastle? Hell no. And he did.
Well, so when Newcastle were getting smacked around at an empty Ellen Road during lockdown, Kieran Trippier looked at that and thought, I'd love to have some of that. I'd love to be part of that team. No, he fucking saw the writing on the wall and was like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to get even more money than I'll get at Atletico Madrid, and they're going to surround me with better footballers because they can afford it. That is the truth of what happened.
Yeah, why
that's a good thing, right? That's a good decision.
That's football.
Yeah, for him, for them, it's amazing. But then you're acting like that he would have gone there if they didn't have the money.
He said he took less money, and they didn't.
Of course he wouldn't. If he's looking at it and he's thinking, no, they can put good players around me. I can see what they're doing. That's part of your decision-making process, right?
And then I'll get a pay rise.
You sound. I mean, you know how much I love you, Mr. Tom, but you sound a little bitter. And I'm being honest, you sound a little bitter about it. I don't know why.
Your team wasn't relegated.
It's more the. It's more the fact that my team were better than their team 3 years ago, and now they're not, and it's mainly because of cash.
No,
because when we were on the
it's all cash. It's all cash.
I don't
they didn't
know
spend the
about
money.
that.
Bandy, they didn't spend the money. They didn't spend the money. They didn't spend the money. So it's not about Newcastle spending the money. You guys had money and you didn't spend it.
It's how you spent it. You had Bielsa.
Money had nothing to do with letting Bielsa go.
But I'm saying it's how
Leeds goes.
and how Newcastle
I feel like I'm having three separate debates. And
We
I'm
are.
still not
We
getting
are.
to answer
Sorry,
any
Tom.
of them. And you're all talking over me in all three of them. Can I just have one question to fucking answer, please?
Yes.
Anyone you choose.
I can't remember any of them because I'm just, but you know.
Tom, I love you.
Is it time for? It's just a.
Yeah,
At
you know
least
what? It
someone
is
does.
exactly halftime. And if that's the way you want to avoid our harsh questioning, that we can't even
It's not
remember
harsh
the question.
questioning. I answer every one of your fucking questions. Fuck Newcastle.
I
Fuck
think it's
their
a myth
money.
that-
Fuck
I think it's
Leeds
a-
for going down. Fuck Leeds for being better than Newcastle and now not being better than Newcastle. Yeah, I can be 1,000% bitter at it. So fucking what?
Absolutely, you
I
can.
think it's a
All
myth
right,
that
Tony,
Leeds
Tony
should
has
be
a
better.
question for you.
I think it's a myth that Leeds didn't spend money. Like, so they sold a couple people. Rodrigo was
spent
expensive.
35 million on
We
Harrison
work.
was
spent it
expensive.
poorly.
Tyler
We spent
Adams.
it on
That's what I'm
we
saying.
spent
It's how
35
you
of it
spend
on a
it.
striker we
It's
didn't
user.
fucking play.
Yeah, it's how you spent it. That's all. That's all I was saying. I wasn't questioning. I was just saying it was how you spent it. So.
Yeah,
No,
winter
I get it,
spending
I get
was
it, I
terrible.
get it. I do get it, Mr. Tom. I suppose, if my team had been relegated, I'd be pissed off as well, right? So I forgot that equation.
May I ask, have we been bottom at all this season?
No. No.
Crazy.
No, Southampton were pretty good at that.
But while we are
Football
talking
world
about
over
Leeds,
Christmas.
it was on this show a few weeks ago that you said something that I thought was probably one of the best observations, Mr. Tom. You said that you were down in the Championship with Bamford for quite a while. You come up to the Premier League with Bamford, and now you're going back to the Championship with Bamford, and you haven't done anything in all of that time to improve in that area. That's not
a
good.
big problem.
That's not good.
It's a big problem, and it's part of why we are now back in the Championship.
I also feel
because
like
there's the sentimentality is something you cannot afford to have in the Premier League.
I think that fluke first year that he had, where he scored 15 goals first season of the Premier League. I think most people realize that maybe that was an aberration, but they probably should have pursued at least one more striker at that point.
Problem, Chris, that season he missed so many sitters as well that they thought the exact opposite. They went, he had 15 and he missed 10 sitters. He's a 25 goal striker. That was kind of a big problem with Bamford's first year.
So do you think now that they're back in the Championship that the ownership or whoever, the management will say, well, he got us out before, he can get us out again, and then we'll address it later? Or do you think they'll make a change now?
Well, it's interesting you say that. Who are the owners? Who's making, as we addressed earlier, there's actually no one in that boardroom to actually turn around and say what you're fictionally saying, which is an even bigger problem than if there was a guy sat there saying what you're saying.
We've got a guy who will spend the money, so we should send him up to Leeds to spend the money.
Is it his name Bandy?
It is.
You think Bandy?
I think Bandy will do a great job.
As Stan was saying, we're throwing a Bamford and tailor it with what Robbie's most recent comment is the fact that it's not just Bamford. There's 4 other players that also applies to.
Half
the team
that have done the whole journey
in the
with
Championship. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The thing is, the only players we've really sold in the last 3 years or so since we've got promoted was Rafinha. That we brought in. And Calvin, obviously. But generally, we've not sold any of our players. And we still managed to have a really small squad to the point that a minor injury crisis. Yeah, a minor injury crisis becomes a major injury crisis.
Elder Costa's out on loan. Roberts is out on loan.
Gelhardt
Dan James
out
on
loan,
loan. Yeah, but I'd keep Gelhardt. I like Gelhardt. Good player. He's a young player. It's not like we came up with him.
I hate football. football
Sounds
so
a bit
much.
complacent, isn't it? What's happened at your club? They've been complacent a lot.
That's exactly it. That's
really complacent. Sounds like
I would
it.
try.
So
I would try to start
the
Gelhardt
worst.
next season.
The worst
should
thing
come
that
on and
happened to
read
our
the
team,
list,
and
Andy.
Chris is right.
You
The
should
worst
call
thing
in
that
and read
happened
the
to our
list.
team was finishing 9th in the first season because it made them think that all their decisions were correct.
Right.
And all their work was done in terms of improving the team. And like, this team, if they get a little bit more luck, maybe we'll get in the Europa Conference League.
Look at the bullshit,
On
right?
what
The
fucking planet?
players we've been linked with that just never materialised. Some good players, if we'd have bought them, would be all right. And they didn't cost much more than what we've spent, to be honest. Like Rodrigo de Paul, we won't spend the extra 5 million there, but then this season we'll spend it on fucking Brendan Aronson or fucking Weston McKennie. Awful players.
We'll spend it. We'll spend 35 million on a 20-year-old French striker we have no intention of playing when we're in the relegation battle. But again, we won't buy established international players like Cody Gakpo.
For the same amount of money.
Yeah,
that's how much Gakpo cost.
Yep.
If this was going on at Arsenal, right, there'd be like stabbings and murders. They'd go absolutely bananas, man, because it only takes the slightest thing to set off Arsenal fans. The slightest little thing.
I was about to say, you's going mad at Leeds.
Oh, this is
Leeds fans can be very toxic. Leeds fans can be toxic.
Leeds fans are highly toxic.
And they're very toxic among themselves. But we all have one. We all have one.
I'm not sure what that was.
What does that even mean, John? Okay,
right
before we go,
right
before we go, pulling it out of their ass. Right before we go, we had Philip on here, our resident Aston Villa fan, who said Villa got a B+. By the way, thanks Arsenal for Unai Emery. B+.
There you go. Exactly, we were above them.
Yeah. If not an A, right?
I would give Villa an A for sure.
They made the hard decision. They got rid of Gerrard. They were like 17th or something at the time, 19th.
My fear for Villa is that Unai Emery's only really brought in one player, and this is going to be his first window, and he'll start bringing in players like Guendouzi and that, and then Villa will just fall away.
Yeah,
that'll be the end of it.
Guendouzi's hairs, man. I love it.
Yeah.
You just stand nowhere near him on a corner, would you?
Is there any chance you guys can keep Nyanto for another year?
Yeah, there's a chance, but do we know if we will? No, I couldn't answer that.
I
What's
think
going on at that club
he would
right
do
now,
fantastic.
I don't think anyone could give you a straight answer.
If he could play 40 games,
the players go.
The player that I really like at Leeds that I keep noticing is Somerville.
I think he's going. I think
Somerville.
What's his nationality, by the way? Where's he from?
Dutch.
Oh, okay.
We got him from Feyenoord.
Yeah, I like him. He always looks like
I like him. His defensive work improved, and while he was being played with Nonto, they played well together, both of them. Do you know? And then, Then they fell out of favour for some reason. I think that was
part of the problem, though. I think part of the problem was that him, Nonto, and I'm thinking Ruta, maybe they became like a little clique, and it was quite obvious.
Click.
And
who's the third one you named?
Ruta.
I believe it was Ruta, but I definitely like Somerville and Nonto. It felt like, like you can tell when the team are together, but it was very much it sort of separated. Always the hallmarks of a team that are heading for disaster.
Yeah.
Do you know who I actually feel for out of the Leeds players? And I don't actually understand what's happened to the poor guy. It's Pascal Struijk, because his confidence has just been knocked the shit out of, playing out of position, and but there was a good footballer in there, and I still think there is, do you know. But being stuck in that defence don't help.
Part of the thing that I find upsetting, and this happened in 2004 as well, or with most Leeds teams that have been relegated, is there are good players in multiple positions, multiple good players. The problem is, they're going to be used to their potential anywhere but Leeds, because as a collective, it's not happening. And everyone else is going to get the best of them.
That's down to the management then, isn't it? Having the right manager with the right tactics to fit what you've got.
From top to bottom. It's got to be a unit from top to bottom. And it doesn't line up at Leeds. You've got minor shareholder wants full shareholder. You've got the major shareholder just doing what he wants. Fucking off buying in the club, doing whatever. I don't even care what he's doing.
Do you think it was a good idea then of them, getting rid of Allardyce before letting him have a run in the Championship? Or do you not think he could have maybe done some?
Get rid. No,
you don't rate him as a stabiliser.
We needed a victory against Spurs, so we picked 6-7 defenders, and didn't change it when we were 1 down at half time.
Six defenders and conceded in the first minute of the game.
That for me, what I want.
Yeah,
Leeds
defenders.
Look, he turned up, got $500,000, fucked off. That's all it was about. All it was to it. Easiest $500,000 he's ever made in his life.
I don't
what place were you in when Adams got hurt?
I don't hate him. Look, he had a go. Fair play, right? He gave us a bit of hope against Newcastle. He did.
That would have been around the time we played Wolves, would it not? Adams' injury. Like March.
That was massive.
March.
That was massive.
To me, that is the key. That is the turning point.
Key thing, when he got injured.
Him being injured at that end of the pitch and Rodrigo getting injured for 3 months at that end of the pitch killed us.
I suppose the one good thing about Big Sam leaving is that there's no longer a chewing gum shortage in the Leeds area.
Hey, let's take our bio break.
Yeah, it's about time, guys, for our bio break. And I believe Mark has submitted the final in the crapper of the season, and it's a doozy. So sit tight, and we'll be back after halftime. And quick, I think it's 3 to 5 minutes or something like that. So we'll be back to finish grading the rest of the Premier League clubs. Hope you guys can all stick around for that. We'll be right back.
Hey, yo, what's going on? Spunny Mark here, and I'm in the crapper. It is the end of the season. Relegation has been set. Leeds United, Leicester City. By the way, if you had Leicester City on your dance card for being relegated this year, congratulations to you. I hope you put $1 million on it. You would have gotten crazy odds. But with that said, I guess it's time for me to get off the crapper. But before I do that, what I'd like to do, what season would be complete without a little award ceremony? A little something here I'd like to call the crappies. The worst of the worst, or maybe the best of the worst. I don't really know what that is. I'd like to start off with the worst moment of the season for me. And this worst moment, it came early in the season. And it was supposed to be a little good-hearted handshake between two good sportsmen. And I'm talking Antonio Conte and Tommy Two-Time Tuchel. That little, he didn't look me in the eye when I shook his hand. I tell you, at that point in the season, if you told me that both players or both coaches would be fired during the season, I would have said you're crazy. Obviously, Tommy went on to manage Byron, and Conte is teaching game show contestants how to celebrate. Worst match was just a couple of months ago, and it was like sitting through a root canal. That match was Tottenham and Everton. It was a 1-1 draw, a match that saw 2 red cards, 1 for each team. And if there was ever a time you wanted to see the stadium just open up and be swallowed, this was it. A real screamer by Michael Keane at the end, but it just wasn't worth the wait. From here, let's talk about the worst call in football. This wasn't even in the Premier League. This was in round 4 of the FA Cup. Sheffield United and Wrexham. This was a phantom red card that I think happened in like the 70th minute on Daniel Jebison, I think it was, where the announcers and commentators couldn't find footage of the red card offense. It was just the guy showing the card. The fix was in that game as far as I'm concerned, and I am sure a lot of you can complain about officiating this year. It was absolutely terrible. From here, I'd like to go to worst player transfer. You could say Georgino Ruder was pretty bad. You could say Calvin Phillips was pretty bad. If you look at minutes played by those two players, the most expensive transfers in the history of Premier League. But no, I am going with a guy who has more yellow cards than he had goals. And how did he get those yellow cards? Premature ejaculation. Just ask Callum Wilson. I am talking by none other than Lolo's favorite player, Richarlison. And I'm not even talking about the little head slap that he gave Ramsdale in that match against Arsenal. He was awful this season. Worst manager. Man, when you got a good girl and you got a good thing going on, but then the sexy girl gives you the eye and you leave your girl for the sexy girl, and then that sexy girl dumps you, and then someone picks up your ex-girl and that guy takes that girl to Europe, you done fucked up. And I'm talking about you, Graham Potter. You leaving Brighton to go to Chelsea, and now you're just sitting at home eating chips right now. You know, I don't know, but that was absolutely terrible move by a manager, Graham Potter. Worst team. There's so many teams that we could nail for this one. I'm not really sure. I could pick Chelsea. I know a lot of you would love me to say Chelsea, except for you, Najee. I know you wouldn't like that too much. But I gotta go with those Spurs because I did something dumb this season. I picked them to win the league. I drank the Kool-Aid and I liked it, and I picked them to win the league based on their finish last season, based on their off season. And the only thing I got out of this is that I learned or relearned or was reminded of what being Spursy is all about. So there you have it. The first annual Crappies coming at you from this crapper, my very own crapper. And that's it. Catch you next year.
All right.
Obviously,
Well
what
done,
happens
Mark.
when the NyQuil wears off.
Well done there. I just have one note that I would say. I wouldn't call Calvin Phillips a flop because I'm telling you he could. Pep is smart with what he does with transfers like that, and we saw it with Grealish. We saw Grealish take a season, and then Grealish became a very, very important figure, and we could see Calvin Phillips all of a sudden playing a much bigger role next season, or selling him off. But to me,
be an inverted left back.
Yeah,
I hate that shit.
So I think the jury's still out.
I'm sure we will see that. But as far as this season is concerned,
hello everyone.
Mikhailo Mudryk.
All right, Gary.
Hello.
Oh,
yeah,
Jesus. Murdoch.
Yeah, Murdoch.
Yeah, I think you could pick nearly anybody that Chelsea picked up.
Anders,
What's
hello.
up?
That would have
Gary?
been
Good
too
to see
easy.
you.
Mason
Hello,
Mount.
Lolo.
Can I make an observation about that on the Crapper Awards? I'm telling you, I was listening while I was in the kitchen getting a beer and all of that. When Mark started talking about the sexy girl, man, I just stopped in my tracks because that's a true story.
It is a true story.
A true story.
We've all lived that story.
And they
we
always
all lived it.
And they always take them off to Europe, don't they? The little bastards. They always pull that card.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And that's what happened as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I do actually like the rumor that's starting to go around, or the talk that's going around that's got Graham Potter going to Crystal Palace. I do kind of like that.
Be interesting.
Be very interesting. All right, guys. Well, before we get to the rest of our grades for the teams that we haven't touched upon, let's go with our final betting in the dark of this season. Mr. Tom, I think you have a couple matches to deal with, and or we'll see maybe what else you put in there for this season. So let's hit it. Betting in the dark.
Betting in the dark with Mr. Tom.
Come on, love, place your bets.
Hello, and welcome to this, the final edition of Betting in the Dark. Director John, show us the first slide. We're going with the FA Cup final. Man City are going to win by 2-1. However, Marcus Rashford's going to score first. Casemiro's going to get carded, because of course he is. Turn 1 into 1-5-3. Money, baby.
Yeah.
Worth a quid.
It is.
I would
Thank you,
throw it
Stan.
on there. In fact, I'm trying to do that right now.
That's a good answer, I think. Quite possible.
There's nothing
Yeah,
there
I
that
don't
doesn't ring true,
Throw in
right?
a Julian Alvarez goal. See what it.
Yeah, I don't think we can bet on cards over here, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
on
Not on FanDuel.
Oh, okay. Remember, you could bet on cards.
yeah, I know on DraftKings as well. Like it's if you can, I can't find it. So okay, yeah, that's
Nice.
a good one there. And I love John's subtle dig at Manchester United. As always, there's always something fun you got to find on these betting in the dark cards.
I didn't realize it was sideways.
Very good.
I also put manure. You probably can't see it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, see, you
Come
got to
on.
look harder. You got to look harder. There you go. All right.
Scooby, that's not 7-1 to bounce back up. It's 7-1 to win the championship. Leicester are 6. Right, I've just gone with West Ham to win the Europa League final 2-1 because currently, as of writing, they don't really have anything else on offer, goal scorer wise or anything like that. Because obviously the game is 5 days away. But that's what I think may happen. I mean, there's a lot of things I think may happen, but you can still win an easy tenner.
Can I just ask a question to you guys? So outside of the bet here, the actual game itself, has West Ham got a chance of beating Fiorentina? I don't know much about Fiorentina these days.
They're top half team, I think.
Yeah.
They got a couple of good
Jovic.
attackers.
Okay, Jovic.
They've got what's his name? Sofian Amrabat, who is kind of one of the best midfielders in the World Cup.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's gonna be a good game. Like these.
Yeah.
I remember
This
first
was
thinking
always
like,
going to be the final.
Who would you pick as a winner, though? If you had to pick one, who are you saying?
This was going to always be the final match, unless
I think
they
it's going
drew
to go to
each other.
penalties again.
I think it goes to penalties.
Really?
Yeah, I see it going to penalties.
And then I don't know who Fiorentina's goalie is. They used to have that Polish kid. I'm not sure they still do.
Yeah, and then you're putting money on
I'm going
Flash
to go the English team on penalties.
I'm going to go
I was going
Fiorentina.
to do West Ham to win on penalties, but they didn't offer that.
Very
To
interesting.
be fair, I did have Luton to win the penalty shootout last Saturday.
You did. Yes, you did. And they did.
Yeah.
Is this at the Ajax stadium?
No, it's in Prague.
Oh, in Prague. Okay.
Yeah, there's only
because they've only got 5,000 allocation of fans each, something like that. And most of the tickets going to UEFA mates.
Yeah, it's like the ground's only like 20,000.
It was the semi-finals that was at Ajax, wasn't it? Is that right? Yeah.
No, it's Anze Alkmaar.
Why am I thinking of that? Okay.
I'd like West Ham to win only so they can improve that grade to that A that Italy Jet was talking about.
Fucking nonsense. Fucking nonsense.
I think it is a very successful season if they win.
I mean, successful,
and it
sure,
justifies
but
how poorly they did in the Premier League. They did just enough to stay up so they could concentrate here. That's what I believe.
If Gabriel Batistuta was playing, I'd go 2-1 to Fiorentina, but he hasn't played for about 20 years, so not good.
I think Declan Rice will be the game changer in the final, and if they don't win, then I don't even know what their squad's going to look like next year.
True that.
Well, whoever wins this qualifies for Europa League.
Yeah.
Somebody just took off.
That was Italy Jet.
Italy Jet just took off.
That was someone taking the sexy girl to Europe.
Someone just stole Stan's Ferrari.
All right, let's see what Tom has for us for our
final betting in the dark. Yes, proper nonsense betting. We're going to go with the maximum temperature recorded in Toronto on Canada Day. Specifically between 29.1 and 30 degrees Celsius. Can get you 3-1. Yes, Gary. Yes, Gary. If I'm going to end betting in the dark, and I usually did nonsense picks, so we are going to go with full grade A nonsense pick, and it's Toronto specifically because they also offered Ottawa, but I was no, thank you, Ottawa. We're going with Toronto.
Someone that lives in Canada on the other coast, we've already here in Vancouver. We've already been up to like 28, 29 on this side, so it could easily happen. And I hear that we do have a massive heat wave coming over here.
It was 93 today for me, so Toronto, the odds are.
I'm gonna answer with the bet that this should have been. I mean, I have Leipzig to beat Frankfurt by 1.
I was gonna ask.
It doesn't even sound right. This sounds much better. Stop it, Dirty Chris. That doesn't stop it. Yeah.
Do you know
German Cup final? We got this one.
No, fuck the German Cup final. The only thing that is going to upset me about us not being around for the summer is I'm not going to be able to do my yearly Fishermania pick.
Fishermania.
Fishermania.
Yeah,
It's a thing. It's it's the FA Cup of fishing.
We'll have a special show just for that.
Yeah.
Thank
you just
you,
have to
John,
remind us
because
whenever that is.
Nothing brought me more joy than the confusion / anger on people's faces at fishing being brought up and discussed.
As in angling?
The Stoop.
Angling,
yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fishing.
Right.
Yes. And I looked into it, obviously. I believe it was Fishermania 13. I think it was.
What bait you using? What bait you got in there? That's what they say, isn't it, when they bump into each other? What bait you got in there?
But yeah, that was a thing. I didn't win either. What? I think I went with the guy that won it 2 years in a row, and then he didn't win it 3 years in a row. So all my fans lost their money. But then they won it back again on Arsenal beating Man United. So swings and roundabouts, eh?
Yeah.
Good job.
You're right there, Mark. You're all right. You're all right. Yeah, with your you still got muted, some of that. Mark. Still got some of that Andrew Dice Clay money.
Everybody, it's goodbye to Cyril.
Oh, there you go, the money man.
Biggie Smalls
for now.
The 100-year.
Who's in the cup anyway? We didn't ask.
Hey, Cyril.
What does everyone think the Champions League final is going to be?
Hollywood.
Hollywood Hogan, baby.
What do you want it to be?
Man.
Is everyone here wanting Inter Milan to win?
Win what?
Champions League final.
What is that?
No, I want City. Now City have won league. I want them to do the treble just to piss Man U fans off.
That's I'm with you, Ben. I don't want to hear this stuff from that team. So yeah.
No, I want Calvin to get.
You lose either way. You lose either way. Whoever wins, you're going to lose. So why not?
As much as I think that City is going to win Champions League,
City will win 2-0.
Inter seems like the team of destiny.
Yeah, but they're going against a robot. The team's been robotic all season.
Just saying.
And they haven't even turned it on.
Rodri gets injured and Calvin scores.
I remember about 20 years ago, it was LSU, and I think it was Texas Tech. Is that where Vince Young went to college?
It was Texas.
Okay, Texas. LSU was so heavily favored, and I said to everybody that would listen, I said, you know what? They play football in Texas too, and do not be surprised if they fucking shut everybody up. I got the same feeling about Inter this year.
Yeah, I mean, they did it to their neighbors in the semifinals, so that's why
they shut them up.
I feel like if it's close, Inter can win. This game, there's no scenario where Inter blows out Man City. But there are scenarios where Man City puts 4 up on them. I think
if they score early, I think it's then Inter need to try to score. So I
think Haaland's built for Champions League. I think he's even better in the Champions League than he is in the Premier League.
I would love nothing better for City to win the treble and then say 3 years from now it all gets taken away.
Yeah. That would be something. That would.
Yeah.
That way nobody won.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Gary and Ben, saying like, look, if just because so much of the season we had to hear, oh, okay, if Arsenal do win the title, it's because City had an off year. And I'm like, and then there's still the people who are saying it was all in your hands. It was all in your hands. It was all in your hands. And I'm like, yes, City having an off year is them winning the treble. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, at the beginning of this
season,
season,
you know what? Football loses anyways, right? Either United holds on to their treble or City wins a treble. Which one? They both suck. Because that's all they can talk. That's what they talk about all the time, right? Is their treble. Then they have to share it now. So we lose anyways. But I like Stan's, future. Looking into the future, maybe it won't matter.
Prophecy. It's prophecy, Gary.
Yeah. And also, if Pep wins the Champions League and he wins the treble, he'll kind of chill out next season. He'll be like, "Yeah, I did it. I'm good. I'll chill out."
I mean, that's what Haaland's for, isn't it? That's the one that they want. And, if they can't get it now with what they've got, then, what do they do? But I still think, just looking at this City situation with the pending investigation, I still think that should they be found guilty, at the end of the day, they should never have then had the resources which would then enable them to have the players that they've had.
Don't work that way, though.
But, if it turns out that there's irregularities, then, you've basically been like boxing against a bloke that's on steroids.
Well, Leeds had a final where the ref was found out to be bribed. Did we get a trophy back? No.
As you can see, Mr. Tom, I'm now the one that's sounding bitter.
It's funny you say that because the next thing I was actually going to say before Fisherman came up was, don't worry, Stan, you'll be contending with 2 teams like that in future. Just want to be dressed like barcodes.
We're gonna see so many teams that are gonna violate this rule over the next couple of few years because of the COVID years. It's gonna. No one will be spared. Every single team, these sort of allegations will come up against. And it's the lesser teams that are the ones that are going to be ultimately penalized. I mean, hasn't Man City been fighting FFP violations in the courts for like the last
decade? Yeah,
4 years, 5 years.
I just think that
this was an issue when we first started the show, and I first started watching football. This was an issue.
You know, it's a joke when the first thing they bring up is, well, that guy's an Arsenal fan, so it can't be real. You know, that means they either one they're going to drag it out anyways, but two, it's like we don't really care what you do. You're not going to get one on us. As you say, people say they got too much money, and they're just going to make it a joke. You know, just make it a joke.
One of the reasons that I think this might not work out for them is that there's a lot of talk in the English Parliament, and they're circling about getting involved and having sort of regulation in football, which obviously the FA and the football bodies don't want. And I think that there's a chance that they may use this as an opportunity to do something so they can turn around and say to the Parliament, we don't need you. Look, we're very capable of cleaning our own house. Thank you very much. We've just shown you that with Man City. So there's always that I think is hovering in the background, because they don't want that regulation at all. They don't want the Parliament sticking their noses into the business.
Personally, I think they should have a rule that at least 51% of the ownership is English.
That'll never happen.
No, I know, but that's what needs to happen to keep what everybody wants. The only way that's going to happen is if it's kept home. As soon as you send the ownership, let them come in from outside the country. This is what you're going to get, because there's no reason for them to not try to make as much money as they can.
Right.
So so if you want to keep it in, you want to keep the history and the community feel and all of that, it has to be owned by those who live in the country, or else, like you look at the NFL owners, right, in the U.S., they're all U.S., right? There's no
but they don't care about
coming in. No, but it's at least staying home is what I'm trying to say. Some of those owners do, have watched the games and stuff. Some don't care, but still. But I'm saying you need to, if you're going to try to continue, that's one way to do it.
Can I ask you, Gary? So in the NFL and the basketball and all of the American sports, baseball, none of the teams are owned by outside people.
Except for those that are in Canada, I guess.
Right. So really, I didn't know that. Okay, you've got no outside investors. Okay.
Is that true?
I don't know which one.
The Denver Broncos have Lewis Hamilton as an investor.
Yeah, he's part of a conglomerate, though, right? I mean, it's not.
The Buffalo Bills are owned by the Koreans.
No, it's Tara Pegula, who's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I don't think
Bills?
I don't think they have that much foreign money in there. They might have like a conglomerate with like people who get like 1 or 2% in, but I don't think
his wife is Korean
50%. I don't think it's like 50% of the ownership is foreign owned. You know what I mean? So
interesting.
International.
Pennsylvania's not in the U.S., right?
Well,
his wife is from his wife was Korean. He owns the Sabres too, so his business was natural gas. Gary, I get what you're saying, but I worked for the White Sox and I worked for the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
They don't care.
They don't care anymore because the money, you're blinded by the money.
But just because he's local, he owns the Bulls, he owns the White Sox.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks owners, their money is in liquor and alcohol. Just because they're local, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like a better thing. All these guys, Tom and Ben and Stan, when he lived here.
Weren't the New Jersey Nets owned by Mikhail Prokhorov?
Yeah, they were owned by the Russian guy.
I don't know is he still owned?
Oh, I don't know. But back in the day, that's when they were all local business. Blackburn was owned by a local. Newcastle were owned by a local. I don't know about Arsenal.
Yeah, Walker. Yeah,
but you let the big money in, eventually it's going to get corrupted like that.
Can you imagine if you got can you imagine if you built a time machine? You could go back to the day before Roman Abramovich rocked up with a bid for Chelsea. You just turn around
that's where it all started.
You're going to want to say no to this.
Right. That's what it all. That's where it all started.
National football. Yeah, it was. It literally was.
I think what happened is like one of those back to the
legitimate.
That's how he cleaned his money.
Back to the Future. When it was Back to the Future movies, the guy went looked forward and went, I'm going to go back there and hey, if you got all the money, just take it. Go in Premier League. It's cheap too. It's only a couple of billion.
Right. We've had a couple of English owners, though, and they haven't turned out to be too good.
Yeah, you have a good point, Mr. Tom, innit? Because it's almost like, when Abramovich turned up, it was so bad that it even made Arsene Wenger and Alex Ferguson become best of friends. That's like Batman hanging out for drinks with the Joker. That's how bad it was.
And which one is which, Stan?
Exactly.
Right, and they spent. And,
I'm thinking that.
But once you let him in with that money of questionable repute at best, let's just say, you then basically can't say no to anyone else.
Yeah,
because they can all turn around and go, well, why'd you let Roman Abramovich in?
The only reason
Everyone
they gave, I
knows
believe,
that he's built.
And Tony might know more about this with the Newcastle takeover. The only reason that the FA were trying to block it at first was because of the piracy. The piracy. Yes. Once that got sorted out, they're like, come in.
Right.
Yeah, money.
Yeah, I mean, those in the US would know. It's like when Chris Paul they nixed his trade to the Lakers. I think the NBA said no, you can't go to the Lakers.
Yeah.
Right, and there was probably no reason why it couldn't happen. They just said, they pretty much looked at it'd be bad for business kind of thing. And now you've got these and now like a couple of years later, you've got super teams with the top players all playing together, and it's like, somebody has to be the trailbreaker, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but eventually they get there anyways, right? So
when the takeover happened a year and a half ago, every team except Man City voted so that way Newcastle partnerships or sponsor deals, they had 3 months they had to wait because they were all scared shitless. They're like, oh shit, here comes another big player to the poker table here, and they didn't want that. The rest of you guys, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United, were like, well, we don't want someone else to join this game. We like where we're at. Yeah. So
it's like you go to the poker game, and a guy shows up he has an amount of money on the table. He just brings that and puts it on there and puts a big stack on the table and goes, no matter what you do, I got you. And anytime the money goes up, he just puts he has more money in.
Tottenham will suffer because they're the smaller club out of all of that.
Yeah.
For me, they're the ones who will be replaced.
Yeah. But Daniel Levy will just insist it's a 7 instead of them being knocked out of the 6th.
So actually, I posed this question on one of our group chats. I don't remember which one. When does the Premier League basically ransom the Champions League and say we need 7 spots?
They're going that next year when it goes to the Swiss model.
Get 5.
They're getting 5 based on historics.
Next season is going to be the top 5.
Yeah.
Just call it. I would really wish that partly.
And that's sorry, just quickly. That's partly because the way they're working it out is it will be top 4, but then the 2 countries that have the best performing UEFA coefficient will get a 5th spot, which is going to be England and one of Italy and Spain. So essentially, England will get 5 spots in the Champions League, and
but that's what those big clubs
personally.
wanted.
I can't wait till there's 18 billionaires. I can't wait till there's 18 billionaires in the Premier League, owning 18 different clubs with billionaires, and then they'll have a serious discussion like, is there a way we can cut off relegation? Because as soon as one of them's under threat, as soon as one of them is under genuine threat, it'll be, this relegation's not great, is it?
But just going back to the Champions League, I really wish they would just drop the name the Champions League and just call it the European Cup. Having 5 teams, 6 teams from one league is just sounds stupid to me.
Yeah, it's no longer. Yeah,
the Super League was never, in my opinion, I said this at the time. The Super League was never ever intended to happen. What it was intended to do was to distract you all, because the same weekend or the same day, that the Super League was announced, they passed through this new Champions League format.
Yeah, it was this
more money.
Yeah, yep. I hated it. I hated the Swiss. It was to satisfy those big
Trojan
clubs.
horse. Yeah, Trojan horse. So no one could question this as the lesser of 2 evils, except for the actual evil that we all hated was never actually going to happen.
Well, and it was like I said a couple weeks ago. It's those teams from Spain who have just.
I'm not sure. I still think there's a strong desire for those 3 teams to create. I don't know if it's going to be like a continental Super League. I still think there's strong economic interests.
Yeah, Spain and
like.
This is all Barcelona and Real Madrid's fault in the first place.
Yeah, they started this.
If they had shared their TV revenue more evenly with the rest of the league, that's right as well. If they, instead of just keeping it for themselves, they would have created a stronger opposition while they could have still maintained their dominance. But then you would have basically had what the Premier League is now in Spain. But you haven't because you decided you wanted that little bit extra money for yourselves, just yourselves, fuck everyone else. Whereas at least the Premier League had the foresight, like the Arsenals, etc., had the foresight to be like, well, if we already make the most money as by default, why don't we just share the TV revenue? I mean, the whole thing was built on sharing TV revenue.
Yeah, that's why the Premier League was formed. Yeah.
Yeah. But they trusted in themselves to make money as well as everyone else making money. Whereas Spain and Real Madrid basically operated out of fear, as in, if everyone else has TV money, then they might beat us. And look where they are. Now they're going, look what the Premier League, not Real Madrid, Barcelona, but AC Milan are like, we're getting outbid for players by Leeds and Bournemouth.
Yeah, because they didn't care about the rest of the league.
They factually were. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, yeah. And you all the Juventus fans on Twitter were just downplaying the Premier League. Oh, it's such a poor league, and I'm like, yeah, like you just said, Leeds can outbid people. Well, that's their own fault, you know.
Well, we can't now.
Osimhen is saying, like, all the players from Serie A are saying, like, everyone wants to play in the Premier League. He just won, you know, the league with Napoli, and he's already saying he wants to go to the Premier League.
Yeah.
Rafinha qualified for the Champions League with Rennes and then joined Leeds because playing in the Premier League was a bigger stepping stone to playing for Barcelona than actually playing 6 matches in the Champions League for Rennes. Yeah, of course. But it was still a bigger shop window for him than just playing 6 Champions League matches with his club team in France.
And he got to Barcelona from there. So
he was right.
He was probably right.
So just a quick question here. Whenever time they talk about the Premier League, they describe it as it's the best league in the world. Would you all agree with that? Is the Premier League the best league in the world?
For what? For football or for generating money?
What
for
do
football.
you qualify as best?
The most entertaining, I would imagine. You know,
I would say
not on the money, not on the money side of it, purely on the spectacle and entertainment of it all as a viewer.
What I will say is the Premier League has done a better job of giving the impression that anything can happen, even though it normally can't. Like the best thing that happened to the Premier League was Leicester winning it.
Well,
but the best thing that happened was Leicester winning it.
There's more teams with something to fight for in the Premier League than any other league. It's more competitive.
Yeah. Is it though? If City's won 5 of 6, how competitive?
This is what I'm saying. City win it most of the time, but they are still in a position where they can sell it.
We'll be saying that 20 years from now that City won 10 out of 15. League titles. That's when you go, well, it's a joke, right? But now it's 5.
Especially if they're found guilty, you have to retcon all of that.
Well, that's another thing. But other teams are going to want to get in there, and if Newcastle decides they're going to open their checkbook, if they can get the players, that they'll have their say, and if United gets their owner with the money bags, they'll do the same thing, right? They're not that many players away, are they? If they get the
one
money,
one of the questions I asked that though about the best league is that why is it then that you get players that seem to always sometimes be in a hurry to fuck off from the Premier League and go over to Madrid or Barcelona to play in that league?
Spain was the best league until England probably. I'd say the last 5. I'd say since Pep's arrived, Pep and Klopp and those folks have arrived. I think
They were back and forth for a little bit, though, weren't they? They were.
I can answer Stan's question, as in what you're going to find is a lot of the players that you're probably indirectly referring to that are in the Premier League that then fuck off to Barcelona and Real Madrid. The fact that when they were children, that was who they dreamed of playing for, was Real Madrid and Barcelona. Like Rafinha, example, Rafinha was a kid in Brazil, dreamed of playing for Barcelona. He didn't dream of playing for Leeds United, but we were a step to him doing that.
Right. Well, I'll give you an example. Someone was chatting about Casado the other day, and they went, "Yeah, if he went to Arsenal at the age he is now, in about 5 years' time, he could go off to Madrid." And I thought, why? What if we're doing really well? Why? Why is it a given that?
Why did Thierry Henry leave you guys?
But maybe, as Chris said, the league. Then there was a different perception of that Spanish league.
I would say,
but there does seem to be a pull, doesn't there, with Madrid and Barcelona?
Correct. But now you're going to have in the next 5-6 years kids that have always dreamed about that, located anywhere in the world, where they'll be like, "Oh, I've always dreamed about playing for Man City or Chelsea." Like that's where before I think that would have been
Liverpool,
Madrid,
United,
Barcelona, United.
Alistair wants to go to Liverpool because Liverpool, not
history.
not because they're not in the Champions League. It's because it's Klopp and Liverpool.
I mean, how is Barcelona a draw with all of their money problems? And I was just reading today that there's an investigation going on that they may be banned from the Champions League next year.
They have no money.
There's an investigation, and they've got all the reports in, and they're just waiting for another investigation from the league about the financial realities before they make it. It's not an attraction. Why is it a draw if you want to go there?
Now you have all these iconic players who are managers now. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, "Hey, I grew up, I watch Xavi every week. Like,
right.
With him for
Yeah, as opposed to saying, "I want to go and play for Graham Potter."
Right, because they don't know who it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, very good discussion, guys. But I think we need to. I think we're being led to a 21-second Bandy break. So I think Bandy sent in something for us. So let's see what John has for us.
Gotta spend the money.
Corner Garage, Rodrigo DePaul, Louis O'Brien, Yangal Herrera, Florian Greenwich, Brendan Aronson, Darryl Deacon, Arthur Caprial, Michael Damsgaard,
Gotta spend the money.
Absolutely, you got to.
Daryl DK, he's the guy that recently said that he was washing his clothes in dishwasher sheets or something like that.
Yeah.
To be fair,
that's just why. Why would you admit that?
To be fair, Mark, I was sent to the grocery store last year in the summer, or a couple of years back, in Spain, to go get clothes washing liquid, and that was one of the toughest things. And I speak Spanish, and I'm trying to read, and I'm like, I don't know. I think what I came home with was like softener, and it wasn't even detergent. Like, yeah, he plays for West Brom.
Not in English. I came home with a bag of crisps.
But he's American. He's American, so.
I can give you a tip as well. Never put washing up liquid into your dishwasher. My missus was away for a week. We ran out of the stuff. I thought, I just put a little drop in. Went for a crap. When I came back, the kitchen was just full of foam. It just foams up, man. It comes out of the stuff. It's worth the floor.
I've done it before.
If you are looking to host a makeshift foam party, then put washing up liquid in your dishwasher.
Yeah, it did remind me of Ibiza 1996.
A foam party. Well, guys, this is we're coming to the tail end of the show here. Director John just posted a link there where you can join us backstage for a little bit. We'll be backstage chatting. But I wanted to thank you guys for all the hard work that you guys have put in coming in here and dealing with all of our shit and drinking with us on Friday nights. We really, really appreciate it. And we will be back next season, a few weeks before the season starts. We'll get in a few episodes there. And I'm hoping that every Friday night, even though we won't be live, I'm going to re-air some old happy hour videos that will be out at the same time. So the chat window will be open. So if you guys want to, if you're still home on a Friday night and you miss us, you may find Pincushion, Scooby-Doo, Jimmy, and even some of us there in the comment section rewatching old videos, old happy hour sessions. If you have a particular happy hour session that you remember that you would like us to replay, and you guys can comment over that, we will do that. And we'll play that one for you on these coming Fridays. So you always get a little taste of us every Friday. But Mark, Director John, and all the gang here get a few Fridays off, get to see our families and stuff like that.
Yeah, we have not had a Friday off in probably 3 years.
Yeah, not together.
I think
definitely.
we maybe have had like 1 or 2 cancellations.
Yeah. And I just also wanted to, especially with Stan here, Stan coming in here, in case you guys missed it, Stan and I did a video a while back, about 3 months ago, with Melvin Marks. And just in case you didn't get to see it, it's one of the pieces that I'm most proud of, even though it didn't get a lot of views, and it is a longer one. Here's a link to it right here, and it's called Teletext versus Twitter: Life of an Old School Footy Fan in the Age of Social Media. And if you haven't watched that, it's really Stan and Melvin explaining to me what life was like as an Arsenal fan, as a football fan back when there wasn't this instant gratification, and what life means. And one of my favorite things, I think Melvin told me, he said the day after an Arsenal match, he would get sent to the shop to buy the newspaper for the family. And if Arsenal won, he bought 4 newspapers. If they drew, he bought 1 newspaper. If they lost, he didn't buy any newspapers. And so just imagine, like, here we are on Twitter. We know all this shit. We know instant scores. We're chatting back and forth. They're sitting there. And at one point, I think he said he had the number for Highbury, and he would call and ask the operator, "How are we doing?" Shit like that.
They would literally be like, "It's bloody Melvin again. It's still 0-0, Melvin." You phone back like an hour later. Any update?
But if you guys haven't,
4 newspapers.
Because everyone else wanted to read it at the same time.
They have to share a paper.
They all wanted to read it at the same time. If it was a draw, you could take one paper.
Melvin, you only get the 3 points once, but
it's ticket sales. It goes straight to the club. Newspaper sales. But I still think that was an awesome chat that we had, and it's a good long video as well. I think it's like 40 minutes. No, it's an hour long. But good stuff there, and good old stories, and I'm sure that will remind you guys of growing up, what your experiences watching were like.
And if you're from the UK,
shout out to you, Stan.
If you're from the UK, we're talking about the days of Oracle and CFAX, which I'm sure you'll all remember.
Yeah.
I like this one video. It's very short. I'll play it right now.
And now we look at our 10-day forecast. It's looking a little bit like those Dallas Cowboys, is peaking in the 90s.
Does that hurt, Tony?
You mean Tony too? You're with me on this one? I hate you, John. That's all I gotta say. Sorry, I say it with love. Well, hope a bird doesn't poop in your mouth.
You're good, right?
That's awesome. So thank you guys very much for all of your support, and for all the Leeds United fans out there, and especially like Pincushion here, who says, "I'll continue supporting this channel." Thank you so much for that, and we will continue to do check-ins with Leeds United, even if on our Premier League centric shows we're not commenting on them that much. Maybe Ben or Tom comes up with a segment like in the crapper that they want to submit every happy hour where we do the Leeds check-in.
I have
Hopefully not from
a
a toilet.
suggestion, because on Mr.
Yeah.
Tom's wrestling channel, the Falls Nelson podcast, he has a segment called "What is Omos up to this week?" Or on the Stoop, you could have maybe "What are Leeds up to this week?"
Absolutely, that's something we're gonna take a month or so to mull all that over and figure out where we're gonna head with this channel and how we are going to continue to incorporate Leeds United in this Premier League channel. And if that was the Full Nelson podcast where Mr. Tom and friends gather around and talk about wrestling. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Check that one out.
Yeah,
And
it's really
Gary,
good.
it is really good. Yeah. And Gary,
really
you can
good.
find him. You can find Gary.
I have watched that, Mr. Tom. And every other wrestling podcast is just a cup of coffee.
Top, baby.
And you can
Coffee
find Gary
in
on the
big
Trip
time.
Mondays and Saturdays as well. Yeah, Saturdays as well.
Yo,
So-
we'll
Are
be
you
on
doing the
Saturdays,
show
but the
tomorrow,
Monday.
Gary?
Yeah, the show's on tomorrow. Just because I don't know, I don't want to laugh at someone tomorrow. I think I don't know who. It's either City or the other team. So.
Well, there you have it.
Smile,
Well, thank you
Gary.
guys very much for
Smile.
joining us. Ben, Tony, Stan, Tom, Gary, Chris from Dirty Jers, and my lovely co-host, Mr. Mark. And as always, Director John. And this is never truer words have been spoken, but we honestly would not still be doing this without the support of our Stoop crew members and our fans.
Here.
You guys, every time we don't feel like doing a show on
I'm still
Fridays,
sucked to the show.
I only do it for the money.
You getting paid for this?
every time we get a little bit tired.
Do we get royalties for the reruns?
Yes, you do. You will make double what you made on the original
Oh,
airing.
beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, all donations to the show will be funneled into the Leeds transfer budget for next season.
I like it.
All right,
You
guys.
can get your own Eddie Beach.
For more of this type of banter, feel free to click that link and join us backstage for a little bit. We will be doing more nonsense, at least for a little bit. Okay. Much love from Brooklyn to
Chris.
everybody.
Enjoy your summer,
See you
guys.
next season.
All right, see you guys. Yeah.